Next tonight, a charity which supports survivors of honour-based abuse and forced marriage says schools in Yorkshire are failing victims.
Nirvana, which is based in Leeds, has seen a significant increase in the number of calls they've received in the past year. They fear many women feel trapped and are unable to seek help. Gaggan Sabherwal reports.
Every year this day comes, a girl feels like hiding away, in a dark corner, unknown, unseen, unheard.
Writing poetry is a form of escapism for 23-year-old Nisha, who's one of hundreds of women and men in the UK who are forced by their families into marrying someone they barely know. A forced marriage is where one or both people do not consent and pressure or abuse is used. Nisha is one of the lucky few who managed to escape, and now she's a successful fashion designer.
I wasn't allowed to go anywhere or do anything I wanted to. It was all about pleasing my family and what everyone else wanted. And then I was on top every day, just beaten up continuously.
In 2014, Britain made forced marriage a criminal offence, and anyone found guilty of this could be jailed for up to a maximum of 7 years. But despite this legal protection, Leeds-based charity Nirvana says there has been a significant increase in the number of calls coming into the helpline from Yorkshire. Last year, the charity received 7,062 calls nationally, and since 2015, it has seen a 21% increase in the number of calls coming in from Yorkshire.
It is still not enough for what is really happening. We're still dealing with the tip of the iceberg. In Bradford, you have significant minority groups, so in my opinion, the victims in Bradford are extremely isolated because we're not seeing enough reporting.
In order to tackle this growing issue, the Foreign and Commonwealth Office and the Home Office set up the Forced Marriage Unit in this building in 2005. And since then, the team has helped thousands of victims from over 90 countries.
We're not saying it doesn't happen within the Pakistani community, but what we are saying is it doesn't only happen within the Pakistani community, and there are other communities who may have smaller reports that it's happening to the same amount, it's just not being reported to the Forced Marriage Unit.
It's been 4 years since Nisha left home and escaped a forced marriage. Her family still refused to accept her, but Nisha is glad she didn't suffer in silence and hopes people learn from her experience. Gaggan Sabherwal, BBC Look North.
Well, I've been speaking to Jasvinder Sangera, who you saw in that report. She told me schools aren't doing enough to tackle the problem.
Schools are at the heart of prevention, so the victim of a forced marriage is going to start at schools. When I look at the issues across West Yorkshire, we're dealing with repatriations of British subjects who've been taken out of West Yorkshire, forced into marriages or at risk of forced marriage and being brought back to West Yorkshire. They were in a classroom before they left. Therefore, where we're going to prevent it is going to be in that classroom, and yet schools are still reluctant for the fear of dealing with the issue, engaging with the issue, the fear of offending communities, and that has to stop because this is child protection.
Are there young girls and boys growing up in school, perhaps they're younger than 16, who are living in fear of this happening to them?
Absolutely, without a doubt. There are very young people calling the helpline. We're dealing with over 750 calls a month nationally. As you've seen, West Yorkshire is a high calling region for us. These young people are calling the helpline, absolutely petrified that because they are just wanting to go to school, educate, even integrate, go out with their mates, these can be deemed as shameful behaviours and enough of a trigger to have them forced into a marriage or to be physically abused. And the stories are absolutely traumatic.
And there are people running away from home, as we heard in that report as well. What's going through their minds? Yeah,
well, when people leave, they are completely living in fear. Fear of their families tracking them down, harming them. They're living isolated lives because they've been shamed by the families, disowned by the families. So they are important people that we support also. And those people will be coming from other regions into West Yorkshire with that risk and with that experience.
It's a big problem. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.